wonderful live book friends! It's me again. So soon, you ask? I know. I like to sprinkle some bonus lessons of myself around the year. So that's why you see me again. Hello. And I'm here today with a lesson that is all about making the lesson description, if you follow it closely, is we're going to make a dream board or a vision board, or I call it also an affirmation board. And I like to do it not in the traditional way. So if you're familiar with dream boards, they are usually boards, simply pieces of paper or cardboard where people go through magazines and maybe online images or stuff like that, where they look at what they're wanting to call into their lives more of, and the dreams that they have and the goals that they have. For instance, I don't know, someone might want to learn to drive, or want to take a trip to India, or wants to buy a new house, become more calm or at peace or spiritual, or I don't know, any kind of thing that people want to do more of. They put them on, they put images and words and collage them effectively, or stick them onto one board all together in one place, and both images and words, as I said. And then they hang it up in their house to see. And by basically making a dream board and being confronted with it quite a bit, the idea is that it helps manifest these things in your life. So so that's awesome. That's a really great way of doing it. And I'm not really big on just collaging. I want to bring in more stuff. So every time I see dream boards, of course, I think the purpose of them are great. And I feel a little bit like, but I want to do more art. I don't like just collaging. So I'm going to share with you today my own personal version of the dream vision affirmation board. So the other thing I like to do with these type of boards or activities is, rather than making it a thing in the future, I use affirmations. You may be familiar with affirmations, which is the difference with them, or if you are familiar with Louise Hay and Caroline Myss, those kind of people, the idea of affirmations are that if you say them in the now as if they are true, they are more likely to become real. So let's say, now, if you believe or support this theory, is obviously you might not subscribe to it, and I can understand that. So then it's not. You can just take the whole exercise as it's a fun art project, okay? But I'm just quickly explaining that what the sort of thinking behind that is, so that if you say let's say you want to go to India, instead of saying I dream of going to India, you say I am going, even though you haven't bought the ticket yet. Or you can even say I'm in India, and it's not that you're lying, quote unquote, to yourself, but it's just that you're forcing, quote unquote, or not forcing, you're creating the energy and the circumstances for that to become more real than if you just dream about it and it's gonna happen maybe at one point in the future. So I like making my dream boards more as affirmation boards. That's why it's also called /affirmation board. And again, if you don't really subscribe or think all that is a bit of mumbo jumbo and a bit too woo-woo, which I can understand, then you can just learn from the art techniques today and make a pretty art thing. And you could just use maybe your word of the year, or any kind of uplifting words that are just uplifting to you. You can take that approach if you don't really believe in the sort of thinking behind dream boards. Right. So what I wanted to share with you today from an art perspective is I would like to show you an acrylics transfer first up. And if you don't have any of the gel mediums, then you can okay. Actually, if you don't, all right. Sorry, a particular gel medium, I should say. Then you can, if you can't do the acrylics transfer, then you can do a paint off collage thing. Okay, sorry, I need to sneeze. You can just glue the face down normal way rather than acrylic way, acrylics transfer way, and do it that way. So let me show you. I've got some things laid out here. Let's zoom in a bit. First up, if you wanted to join us on the acrylics transfer thing, and I know this can cause a lot of stress and pain for people. Acrylics transfers are always a bit of a, they are a hit and miss kind of thing. So hold on, let me just expose you a little bit more. Ding, ding, there. So acrylics transfers are sort of a hit and miss kind of thing. They don't always work, and then they frustrate people. So you need to give yourself a little bit of experimentation time. You might want to, before you start on your special page or proper high quality page, maybe do it on some not other paper right away. Use watercolor paper if you can, but maybe you have some leftover from some other stuff. Yeah, you might want to do some small tryouts basically initially. So for acrylics transfer, I just wanted to actually, before I do that, I got all these mediums out because I want to talk to you about the difference. Some of you know, and I talked about that in the Art Bites for Beginners as well, but I've got a couple of, here we go, I don't want to leak this out. So here we have these two, as you can see, are called matte medium. I even have another one, a long one actually, like this one. Grizzly, oh no, actually this is the same. Let me show you this as well, and then, no, I've got that one already. This is a different medium again, so this is glazing. So, okay, so you've got, these are sort of similar, but this is very liquidy. Is this closed? Yeah. So, matte medium is a thin medium. Acrylics, it's a polymer emulsion, a matting agent, and it's useful for lowering gloss and viscosity of golden heavy body colors. So what you can do with these is, you know how we have a golden fluid acrylics, these? Well, if you have these, so if you have heavy body acrylics, you can use this stuff, mix it in, and you're kind of making-ish a golden fluid acrylics paint. So it's kind of to mix, so all of these, same with this one. Let's see what it says, if it says the same, to extend the working time of acrylics paints. Okay, so this is similar but not exactly the same. This basically makes it thinner, this type of medium, matte medium, and this extends, so it makes it also thinner-ish, but it extends so it doesn't dry so quickly. So that's the difference between these type of mediums and well, I call them glues. So the other reason, what I often do with these matte mediums, though they were created to kind of like thin out paints, you can also, they're very helpful for gluing, so gluing collage papers down. And so these are particularly good if the thing that you're gluing down isn't very thick. If you're doing thicker stuff, then the heavier, and then that's the next bit, is the gel medium. So here, I just showed you that the gel medium that you've seen me use before. Okay, so here I've got a soft, so here we go. There's a variety of mediums, gel mediums, that Golden and other and Liquitex, and then here Dale & Rowney do. These ones are thicker, so these ones come in matte, semi-gloss, gloss. They come in soft gel, regular gel, heavy gel. The soft versus heavy is implying sort of the thickness and literally the heaviness, or how thick it is. And these are good for gluing heavy collage pieces, but actually let's see what they say they're made for. That's probably also, again, to extend. They are usually to extend or do something to paint effectively. Same creamy consistency. Altering thickness. Okay, here we go. Golden gels are formulated with 100% acrylic polymer emulsion, yielding also for varnish. So it's for varnishing, with excellent flexibility in chemical, water, and UV resistance. The milky emulsion dries translucent, used for glazing, extending colors, altering sheen, changing body, increasing translucency, gluing collage, and increasing film integrity. And they and they also sort of function as a varnish because they're UV resistant and protective of the thing, of your page. Now I don't do a lot of varnishing myself because I use a lot of water-based paint, as you know, watercolor, and then if I add a layer on with this, it starts to reactivate again. It starts to smear over the painting. So I don't do that. If you do this way, you can better use spray if you want it to really protect. By the way, spray, I kind of like using this one. It's very stinky though, and I don't hardly use it. I'm not a spray varnish kind of person. Anywho, back to, so this one, same. Let's see what they say it uses it for. Because basically, I buy them mostly for gluing and transfers. Direction of use: mix with Acrylic or System 3 as an extender for more economical use of color. So they're kind of similar. Large impasto. Is this gel? Yeah, I've got the gel. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Dries to a glossy finish. Colors become more transparent. So similar to basically the mediums that I've shown you, it extends the drying time of the paint, and it makes it slightly more transparent. So that's what they're created for. And here I like that this guy actually says for gluing collage down. That's great. Now, why we're using these, because a lot of people ask, can we use Mod Podge? Is it Mod Podge or Mo Podge? Mush Push. I've never used it. I can't buy it here in the UK. Or why can't we use Mod Podge, Smudge, MP, or glue stick or something. Now, that is because, well, you can. Obviously, you can do anything you want. Try it, but some people have success with Mod Podge MP, and it's fine. But if we do a lot, mixed media, we do a lot of collaging. And if you use Mod Podge, after a while, because it's much more water-based, it starts to dry out the water. The water gets, like condensation starts to disappear, and then your collage is coming off. This is made of acrylics and doesn't dry out, so your I mean, you can still have some collage coming off after a while, but much less so. So it's much more, it will keep your collage into place much better. So so that's just a bit of a background on the mediums that are out there and what they're used for, what their different, what their different purposes are. And so these are also good for acrylics transfers. So let me talk about acrylics transfers now. By the way, look what I bought. Oh, aren't they pretty? Look, die cuts. I came across them as I was ordering. I also got something else really nice. Hold on, let me show you. You might be interested in buying these. So there is these, I like using a lot of these Japanese little pages. They're actually origami pages, but they come with all these different patterns on them. And I bought loads of those, and I just love them, and I use them in if you watch the Fawn Whispers painting on YouTube, I use this type of pattern paper in the t-shirt. So this is Japanese origami paper, you can search for that. Then these are die cuts. I don't even know what that means, but I'm going to use them for collage. So you can just cut them out, and I thought these were so pretty. Look at that. If you want butterflies, lots of them, you can also just buy a butterfly book and cut that out. But I have one somewhere still. But these just look so pretty. And then I also got these folded square. There's also origami paper, but not with Japanese patterns on them. Just, I don't know, these kind of patterns. Kind of cool. I thought, look, for collage and background and stuff. So got some new collage materials. Anyway, it's just a by the way. I just wanted to show you and inspire you maybe if you're interested in buying some more collage papers. This has got different patterns on them. Looks so cute. Oh, this is good for, because I have a house in there today. Hold on, I'll tell you what I mean. So what you're gonna need today. Anyway, let me talk. I'll talk first about the acrylics transfer. Okay, so the other thing you're going to need is, now, if you, stop rambling and tripping over your words, please, Tam. So, I have printed out 2 photos of myself. One is reversed, I don't know if you can see. So one is, see that? So here's my little painting there and there. So, if you're going to do the acrylics transfer, you're going to put your page face down. So if you want yourself in correct angle, correct positioning, you want to print yourself out reversed. If you're going to do a paint over collage, you just want to print it out as is. Okay, that's why I printed both out. I really didn't need to, but I wanted to show you. Then I've taken a moment and thought about everything that I wanted to have call into my life more, and what I want to focus on this year that I've also already just probably discussed in some other lessons. And I made a list and I printed them out with words fairly large size. I'll read them out quickly. So I'm always looking for accepting of my wholeness. New dwellings. We are currently trying to buy a house, and that's a really big kind of thing in our lives at the moment. So I'm kind of wanting it to become a beautiful thing, and so I'm kind of sending it positive energy, more beauty, more community, honing my skills, honing what I've learned in the last year, which relates to integration and solidifying here. These are a couple of really important words for me this year. and focus. These three, they kind of go together. You saw me do them in the Zen butterfly thing as well. So here, for instance, you can see I am whole, I am focused. I'm also writing them down in affirmations rather than this is what I'm wanting. I'm saying I am, you know, as an affirming statement. Deepening of self-love and compassion. I am love. Then here, I radically accept the wholeness and fullness of me. This one. More family, connection, belonging. I am connected. The teal bridge, this is in the new house. It's a special little thing. Home, joy, and then these four big words that are sort of my words of the year that I kind of want to have more prominence. So the design of this particular dream board for me is going to be like this. So it's not going to be the typical traditional dream board, as I've just said. I'm going to, oopie daisy. So I'm working on a large sheet of 12 by 16 inches. I will be transferring my face this way, but it come out this way. I'm going to do acrylics transfer. So the acrylics transfer process leaves you with a vintagey, faded, interesting, and then this, if you keep the side bits in, it just becomes an interesting layer. But I tend to paint over it again as well, not fully, but a little bit. And so you almost might want to just do a paint over collage thing and just paint your face down if you're finding the acrylics transfer thing hard, because a lot of people do struggle with it. Yes, and then what I'm going to do, so this is going to be the dream board. So I'm having me as a center because it's my dream board, and I want it, and I have a photo of myself with my eyes closed as if I'm inwardly, you know, manifesting or whatever, creating the energy. And then I'm going to semi-paint this, maybe doodle on my face and put some meaningful stuff. And then I want to put maybe one or two important words here. And then I'm going to use collage elements, other elements to bring in, and the words that some of the words, not all, either coming out of my head this way, or I might write some. And then I'm going to make a nice background with collage elements as well, as usual, my usual process. So the other thing you could do, but I haven't done because I don't really enjoy sort of just printing out random images and placing them all over the show. It's not my thing. I like it more in word form. And a couple of images. I want to bring these flowers in, and the butterflies is all for the new house. And for instance, this collage that I just said that has the houses in there. So some meaningful images that you wanna that relate to what you want to bring in, but you don't have to. You don't have to do images, you could just do words. Okay. Alright, so if you don't want to use a photo of yourself, and if some of us are not comfortable with photos of ourselves, then you could use a photo of someone else, but who you maybe can see yourself as. What I'm trying to do here is, and you don't even have to use a photo or a face at all. You can actually do the original dream board. Of course, everything on Livebook is only ever an inspirational thing for you. You don't ever have to follow the exact lesson, though you can. So, because this is a dream board about you, it's nice to have. I'm enjoying having a photo of myself that I like, and maybe with my eyes closed, so that I'm introspective. But I also totally get that some people are really not comfortable with their face. And I don't want to quote-unquote force you to use a photo of yourself, because it's meant to be happy making. If it's confronting you with some painful stuff, then that's not what this particular exercise is about. So maybe you could draw yourself, or maybe you have a photo of someone who you can see yourself as, or you can take as representing you. It could be a symbol, perhaps. Maybe you want to represent yourself as a large symbol, but I'd like you, if you can, to sort of make it not central, because look, this is central from the vertically, and then the face is going to be sort of the forehead is going to be kind of mid-center. So you could put your symbol, for instance, here. So if you didn't want to use the face, which is totally cool and understandable, it's fine. Okay, so if you are going to use a face, and so I did already say about the extra elements, so you can put more or less actual imagery in there. I like the butterflies and the flowers for to sort of say the house. and some beautiful collage papers that I'll include. And then I'm going to use the words as mostly my affirmation / dream things rather than imagery. Okay, so for to do a acrylics transfer, the gel, the heavy or the regular or the soft gels are the best in my experience, and not everyone agrees, but in my experience these work best for acrylics transfer. And if you're going to try, let's say, a matte medium, you'll find quickly that this might work, but you'll find that all these mediums have a slightly different, you get a different effect or different impact. I've done this several times now. I'm going to try it. I can't remember if I used the soft gel last year. Or did we do it last year? We probably didn't, actually. Did we do it last year? We did it the year before, definitely. We have not done it last year. Okay, so the way you do an acrylics transfer is you take a brush. I'm just going to mark where my page ends so I roughly know where to stop with the glue. So you don't even, if you didn't want to use the entire page, you could do that as well. I am going for the entire page because I like the effect that the sort of, because you gotta get a grungy, vintagey look, which I will then paint over, so I'll lose some of that. But it helps with the background layering that I like. So you could just sort of tear only your head out, your head off. You can you can tear your head off, not really. But you know, you could, if you didn't want the other bits, you could do it that way. But I am choosing today to keep the entire page. And you want to put a nice layer. You don't want to kind of dry. You don't want it to dry out before you put your page on. So you're going to need quite a thickish layer. Okay, so nice. I don't know if you can see the thickness, but a good layer. You don't want it to dry before you put your image face down on. Other ways, by the way, another really good way of doing acrylics transfers is by printing out your face on some of that, what is that called? The transparent print contact paper? It was when you know when we used to have projectors, and you'd have those little transparent sheets that you could print onto. If you print onto there, they are also good for acrylics transfer. I'm not going to do, because this is a bonus today, I'm not going to kind of show you all the ways. But we might cover that a bit later in the year, actually. And by the way, yeah, so I printed this out onto just at home on a normal home printer. You don't need to do laser copy. I think laser copy also works. The other thing you can do with this, the cool thing is, you know, guys, I'm always encouraging you to experiment. So, for instance, I remember first learning about acrylics transfers, and then I tried magazine pages. Now, they don't actually work, because what this does, so now quickly I'm going to put this page on. What happens with the glue is it grabs the ink off the page, and then once you start to remove the paper, the ink stays behind inside the gel medium. That's what the process is, the chemical process, or whatever you want to call that. So you need kind of newspaper type paper where the ink semi lies on top of it, you see. So magazine pages usually have you know, that it's that glossy type paper, so the ink is almost under another layer of something, I think. I don't know. So it doesn't grab it. Yeah, you can create really interesting backgrounds, but you won't get the sort of crisp image that'll stay into in the acrylics glue, if you see what I'm saying. And also mine often, we did this on Art, Heart and Healing, I did this as well, but mine often come out a bit so scruffy looking or, you know, vintagey looking. Not everything stays. Some of the ink doesn't get absorbed. It's that kind of thing, and so it looks like a grungy sort of not very perfect picture per se. Some people are able to do it very perfectly. Some people even do it on wood, and some people do it also with hand lotion, alcohol hand lotion. I think we had Steve Spade, who taught on Lifebook 2014, I believe it was. He demonstrated. Oh, actually, that's what he includes a free video like that in the Ning, on the Ning. I might include that if you want. You can say hi to Steve. I think he's on Lifebook again this year. He taught also on Lifebook 2014, and he demonstrates an acrylics transfer with hand gel, the kind of the antibacterial hand gel, you know what I mean? So that's all pretty cool. Now, and then what you do is you let it dry for a bit. You don't have to let it dry overnight, but you dry it for a while, and you can start to kind of check and peel off in the corner to see if it's kind of coming off already. So I'm just going to give it some time to dry and be right back. Okay, so it's pretty much dry. But what starts to happen is if you let it dry for a while, what you'll see that actually the funny thing is the back of the page will feel a bit wettish or damp because the glue is sort of seeping, or maybe the paper is going into the glue, or the glue is going into the paper, whatever. But it's feeling a bit wet and dampish, and you'll see the colour starting to come through as well. So it sort of starts to bleed a tad, and it tends to pick up, or it tends to transfer more of the blue colours rather than the true colours. So you need to all be, excuse me for the burp, you need to be okay with that, okay? This is not a perfect kind of thing. So anyway, I started peeling off the paper already, and as you can see this here, that's actually still a layer that's also going to come further off. And what will happen as well is you can start to rub with your finger gently, and then you start to rub the paper. If you can pull, you can pull, but funnily enough, this paper is sort of layered as well, which I never I only realized when I started doing acrylics transfers. So yeah, so hold on a sec. So the other thing is, if your paper has gone quite dry, which mine hasn't, but you could wet the back a bit. I'm kind of like wetting the back just to get it off easier, and you'll see that the paper starts, your image starts to come through even more clearly. And like I said, there is a difference between obviously just gluing down your face pointing towards you, but it is a similar thing. It's just that this gives you a nicer, or not nicer, it gives you a more vintage, grungy kind of print of your image. Like I said, people also do it on wood, and then you can, if you have a thick piece of wood, you can stand it up in the room or something like that, and it kind of just gives an interesting effect. So I'm going to keep going, try to get the pull and rub the paper off. See, so here we go, it comes off in streaks like that. And also, I'll zoom in so you can see sort of the rubbing thing. You start rubbing, and if you rub, you see how it comes off. And if it's a bit too dry, you can add some water. Here's a little bit dry here, and then it will come off more easily. You get sort of paper mush. And you need to, if there's particular areas you want to be really careful with, like the mouth or something, you want that to be coming out really beautifully, then you want to gently rub, because if you rub too hard, and if there's still some of the glue still a bit wet, you might start rubbing that off, or you're pushing it into the glue, you know. So you want to do gently over the areas that are important to you. Here I don't mind so much if it goes a little bit wrong. And also you need to take risks with this method, because you can just get a big smudge on your forehead. But I'm going to paint over a bit of my face. I'm not going to go and do a lot. I'm just going to do a little bit of paint over and add some doodles and make it sort of an interesting extra kind of thing. And then, so then you can get rid, let's say if there's a splodge that you don't like, you could do that way as well. But if you wanted to do this purely for the acrylics transfer and you don't want to touch it with paint, then you want to be careful, particularly careful, when it comes to rubbing it off. Alright, so I'm going to just rub it off and be back in just a moment. Okay guys, so I just want to show you halfway through the... Ooh, I'm covered in white. Ow! I'm covered in white bits of paper. It can get a bit messy, particularly if you're doing a large piece like this. And also, I haven't actually finished peeling off all the paper yet, because it's quite a lot of work, and sometimes I leave bits of it in as collage. But I wanted my face particularly more done, you know, like having it all off, and it feels nice and smooth. And here I can still feel those bits of paper. But as you can see, it looks almost like a bit of a Instagram photo, you know, with a filter over it. I don't know if you're familiar with Instagram, but you know, like sort of this 70s filter. So this is the original You can see. That's the original painting, photo, sorry, printout. And that's what you kind of get. And I like that you get this variety of colour, like the red and the blue. So it doesn't, my hair is obviously brown, you know, like that. And this was black, and it's sort of keeping the blues and the purples in. And I enjoy that. So it's almost like there's a bit of a filter over the actual outcome of the face and the image. So now, what I want to do next, and now I'm just going to start to compose. I mean, I'm going to maybe peel off a little bit more, like here and there. And so what you can also see, remember I was talking to you about earlier, that you can sometimes have either coming something off that you didn't want. Like here, I've got a couple of white bits. This is probably where it was still a little bit wet, and then I pushed really hard and then it came off. So that sort of thing can happen. Same here, there's a couple of scratches really on my face. You can't really see my chin anymore. But with paint and drawing, I'm now going to kind of rectify that, put a bit of paint on, not loads, and maybe, you know, emphasize my eyes. And you can't see my nose really anymore either, because it was already a really faint photo, you see, so it was very highly filtered. You can hardly see my nose on here anyway. So that's just the photo I chose because I had my eyes closed and I wanted an introspective one. So you could have a clearer photo of yourself. I just didn't start with a very clear photo. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of get some collage pieces, or I might just start on the face, and then I'm going to add my words and my symbols in certain areas, and I'm going to kind of collage and paint a piece together and bring in all these affirmations and goals or things that I would like to call in more. I'm gonna add them into a meaningful place. So I know, for instance, I'm gonna probably have a couple of 2 words here, sort of as a focal point. And again, I might put some butterflies maybe here or something. I don't know. I'm gonna sort of try and create an interesting collage or composition, and then add paint and brayering like I've done in the first lesson. So the warm-up lesson, and didn't do that much actually on the Happy Traveller. What else did I do? Quirky Birds? No. So anyway, you'll see me doing that, but I will be time-lapsing that bit and put some subtitles here and there as to what I'm doing if I think it's kind of, for you, something that you don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so this is kind of, the rest of this will be an inspirational piece, and again, for your dream board or vision board, you don't have to do this method at all. I wanted to introduce you to Acrylics transfers in case you didn't know this yet, and to show you how you can get a sort of an interesting, faint, Instagram-like transfer of your images if you print them out on printer paper. So I hope you enjoyed that, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing some of your dream boards. And also I think I'm in the same week as Donna's lesson, so I can't wait to see some of your black and white flowers as well. So I hope you enjoyed the rest of this video, and I shall see you soon. Alright. guys, so this is finished now and I'm loving it. Oh, just put my hand in the white paint. So I'm really loving it. I'm really loving what I've done. So this is my version of a vision, dream, affirmation board. And so just a couple of comments. So initially I had 2 different fonts. I thought maybe it'd be nice to have 2 different fonts, and then in the end I didn't like that sort of painterly font. I found this one here. I found it a bit too, this one, I found it a bit too loud and not in line with the rest. So I printed it out again in the font that I've used everywhere, and I enjoyed the different sizes in fonts. So I've kind of, you know, meaningfully placed the words around the page. And at the top I'm saying, I radically accept the wholeness and fullness of me. And again, I'm saying it as an affirmation. And some of them are just words. So integrate is one of my words for the year. Integrate, focus. I could add focus actually. Oh, I could do this. This is quite nice. Oh, so sorry. So some of them I've been... No. Yeah, so so focus and solidify. Also, these 3 kind of tend to fit together each time they come to me. So they're sort of all related. So I'm going to add. So yes, I've also handwritten a couple of words. Focus and solidify. Not so easy to write on this. Solidify. Every time I look at that word, I think of the song by, what is her name? Not Schneider, Sheryl Crow. Solidify. I just leaned my hand into all that wet paint. Never mind, it actually made it kind of nice. Like, it's sort of like faded a little bit, nice. So yes, I've handwritten words. I've kind of circled certain words like they're me, the wholeness and fullness of me. Then I've surrounded these 2 words family and I've put symbols by them. I love this color scheme. Interestingly, it's kind of new. It's kind of bright red and bright blue together, kind of like that sort of Virgin Mary blue, and pretty much bright red. I have a whole new set of tombows. Look at this, guys. I'll show you. Ta-da! Oh, I'm so excited. So I've got a whole new range of colors available to me, and one of them was that bright red. Where is it? Here it is. Oh, it's bright red. I don't know what it's called or what number it is. They're all 847, aren't they? Are they a number? Oh, 847 if you're interested in the exact red. And the blue is 535. So, yeah, super happy with this. I think it's really meaningful. And I could hang it up or put it in my book or have it nearby, because I quite like hanging it up because it's so meaningful, because of course it's a photo of me, even though it looks nothing like me anymore. That often happens when you do paint over collage or paint over okay, I'm not mixing them up. Oh, here. If you do paint over acrylics transfer, you start to paint, they often don't look anything like me or anymore. We did it in 2014. I did pretty well then. I really tried wanted to keep the self-portrait, but it's not the point for me. I really like, this is not something I do normally, adding collage and keeping the pieces really relevant so that you guys will know that about me. But because I bought these recently, I thought, oh, that'd be quite interesting. Let me try and see how it works. Because I find it quite difficult to keep collage not as a background element, like just bringing over it as a layered part. And I loved the butterfly and the roses as extra elements around her face. And then I used Stabilo pencil, Stabilo all to kind of add some darker shading. And of course I love my splatters, so here I did some white splattering with some white ink. Did I not? We haven't actually done that properly quite yet, but anyway, I've used white ink and just splattered it around, protecting the face. And then of course this face is very, not clownish, but very decorated, and I put the words compassion and kindness on the closed eyelids, which I love. I am whole, I am love, the teal bridge, which is this lovely little bridge in the new house, if it's all gonna go ahead. Hopefully it'll all go ahead. We're still not quite sure if it will happen, but I'm making it happen now, hopefully, with my dream and vision board. Anyway, this is, and I drew, oh yeah, that's it. So I drew a couple of elements instead of finding images, because again, I don't always like that. So I drew this little bridge here. It's not teal, but that's okay. Because teal is blue, the background is kind of blue and red, and I thought I needed it to just be white and black so that you can see it's a bridge. And then here, this is the new house, supposedly, and so new dwellings, and I wrote belonging, beauty and community. These are all important things that I want more of in my life, and of course family and connection up here. And then I just added those words. So really seriously super happy with this. I love how it came out. It's very meaningful painting for me, and it's just so it's a painting slash vision board slash dream board and affirmation board. So again, you don't have to use a photo of yourself. You can approach the dream board in however way you like. Like I said, if you didn't want to use your face or a face at all, you can use a big symbol here that represents you. The kind of thing is that it's sort of really, you're going to try and infuse the entire page with you-ness and what you're wanting and what you want to bring into the world and what you're needing more of, and that's what you're kind of going for here. And so therefore it doesn't need to be your face. Why I liked using a photo of me is sort of, it feels like, okay, this is all surrounding me, so it's meaningful for me. And but there are other ways. Like I said, many people don't include a face at all. Dream boards are usually done not with yourself in it, done just with the imagery and the words of what your goals are and what you're wanting to call into your life more. So the face is just a me thing, and I'm making it much more into a painting than a proper dream board. So you could take the approach of the dream board. That's also cool. So guys, thank you for being with me again this week, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I look forward to seeing some of your dream board type creations. And I wish you a lovely week, and I'll see you again in March. No, yes, March. Yes. Okay, wonderful people. Bye-bye.